Welcome to the Binge. I'm your host, here to explore a whirlwind of topics that pique our curiosity and spark conversations. From the latest trends in cultural phenomena to the quirky and unexpected, we'll dive into what's captivating us right now. So whether you're seeking inspiration or just want to join in on some intriguing discussions, grab your snacks and settle in. Let's get binging.
It's the Binge Podcast where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast. Come join us fast.
Taylor Swift, the relatable millionaire next door. Let's be real. Taylor Swift is the epitome of the girl next door. You know, if your neighbor was a multi-millionaire pop star who owns an obscure amount of real estate and has dated approximately half of the male population of Hollywood. But other than those minor details, she's just like the rest of us guys. Take her music, for example. Taylor has a knack for writing songs that speak to the everyday struggles us dudes face. Like that time in high school when your girlfriend dumped you for the starting quarterback, or when your supposed wingman went behind your back and landed the girl you'd been pining after all semester. We've all felt that burn, fellas. Then there are her lyrics that read like pages ripped from the diary of a typical 20-something bro. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22, Taylor sings, instantly transporting us back to that age when playing video games until 3 a.m. was still a viable life choice and the biggest drama revolved around who to take to the spring formal. Of course, Taylor's personality is also highly relatable to us fellas. We've all had that one buddy who gets irrationally angry when you misspell or mispronounce their name, despite the fact that it's one of the most common names in the English language. It's just part of their quirky charm that we put up with. And let's not forget her humble beginnings. Taylor grew up on a Christmas tree farm, you guys. Sure, it was a multi-million-dollar Christmas tree farm in Pennsylvania, but it's still a far cry from the bright lights of Nashville or New York City. She's literally proof that you can make it big as long as your parents are wealthy enough to bankroll your dreams from an early age. At the end of the day, what makes Taylor Swift so appealing is her ability to be one of the guys, despite being richer than Elon Musk and more famous than oxygen. She's the cool chick we all want to be best buds with, even though she'd probably forget our names the second we walked away. But hey, at least we can live vicariously through her music about heartbreak and betrayal, two areas all us dudes unfortunately have a wealth of experience in. World War III, an endearingly morbid exploration of how we might all go tits up. Well now, isn't this a jolly little topic to ponder? The possibility of World War III and all the delightful scenarios that could bring. I can already picture the cheery images of mushroom clouds blooming over the cities like deadly radioactive dandelions. You know, when you really start digging into the potential catalysts for another global conflict, it becomes a veritable Pandora's pitchfork of geopolitical chaos just waiting to be unleashed. It's almost impressive, in a morbidly fascinating way, how many seemingly insignificant little tiffs and squabbles and argy-bargies could potentially escalate into full-blown crimes against humanity. Take the current contretemps over in Ukraine. One minute you've got a simmering separatist stew brewing away. The next a Russian tank gets a bit too rambunctious and oopsie-daisy, we've dragged the whole NATO gang into fisticuffs. From there, it's just a few ill-advised missile launches and suddenly the northern hemisphere gets crumpeted back to the Cretaceous period. How's that for efficient urban renewal? Then you've got the charming territorial pissing match brewing in the Arctic as that pesky polar ice insists on melting away. You can just envision the festive disagreements as nations start squabbling like siblings on a road trip over who gets called dibs on the newly unveiled oil fields and shipping lanes. The UN referees will be working overtime on that delightful squabble. Or how about the delicate dance over Iran's nuclear ambitions? One wrong peer away from the international community and boom, we're off to the races towards arming everyone and their neighbors' cousins with apocalyptic boomsticks. I can practically hear the blustering world leaders now, puffing out their chests as they gamble civilizational survival on ponderous geopolitical dick-measuring contests. But chins up, my intrepid doomsday theorists. If the 20th century taught us anything, it's that humanity is endlessly industrious and dreaming up new and improved ways to pulverize itself into oblivion on a mass scale. Why, the future possibilities for creative self-destruction are bound to be even more ingenious. Though I suppose there's an argument to be made for avoiding that whole unpleasantness if we can help it. Diplomacy, Economic interdependence, nuclear disarmament, respecting national sovereignty, yada, yada, yada. But where's the fun in that? Some of us still cling to the romantic notion of human existence being blinked out in a blinding flash of glory rather than that drab descent into mundanity. But I digress. Ultimately, whether the world goes up in pillars of fire or with a whimper, it'll simply be the cosmos' way of having a rambunctious laugh at the ants scurrying about and taking themselves ever so seriously. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be in my bunker. Let me know how this whole Armageddon thing pans out. The toothpick, a tiny titan in the history of dental hygiene. Ah, the humble toothpick, a diminutive yet mighty warrior in the eternal battle against food debris and social awkwardness. This unassuming sliver of wood, or plastic, or bamboo, or whatever newfangled material the kids are using these days, has a rich and storied history that spans centuries and civilizations. So grab a toothpick and settle in, because we're about to embark on a journey through time that's sure to leave you picking your jaw up off the floor. The origins of the toothpick can be traced back to prehistoric times when our ancient ancestors, just having discovered fire in the wheel, realized that they needed something to dislodge those pesky chunks of mammoth meat from between their teeth. Cue the first toothpick, like a sharpened twig or bone fragment, which was also handy for scratching those hard-to-reach spots on one's back. Fast forward a few millennia to ancient civilizations like the Greeks, Romans, and Egyptians, where toothpicks made from precious metals and adorned with jewels became a status symbol among the elite. Imagine Cleopatra seductively removing rogue pieces of dates from between her pearly whites with a golden toothpick encrusted with emeralds. Talk about making dental hygiene look glamorous. During the Middle Ages, toothpicks fell out of favor in Europe as the Catholic Church deemed them too risque and too provocative. Those saucy toothpick twirling moves were just too much for the clergy, apparently. But fear not, the toothpick made a roaring comeback during the Renaissance when intellectuals like Galileo and Da Vinci insisted on keeping their smiles as dazzling as their minds. The toothpick truly hit the big time in the 19th century when an American named Benjamin Sturtevant changed the game by mass-producing the first modern toothpicks. Suddenly, this humble oral hygiene tool was available to the masses, and people could finally enjoy corn on the cob without having to floss with a horse's tail afterward. Today, the toothpick remains an integral part of our daily lives, whether we're using it to dislodge a stubborn piece of spinach from our teeth after a salad, or to construct a miniature replica of the Eiffel Tower out of sheer boredom. Who knows? Maybe future archaeologists will unearth our toothpick creations and mistake them for the remains of an ancient civilization obsessed with tiny wooden skyscrapers. So the next time you nonchalantly pluck a toothpick from that little plastic container at your favorite restaurant, remember, you're holding a piece of history in your hands. A history that spans from the dawn of humanity to the present day. All in the pursuit of keeping our smiles bright and our breath fresh. Truly, the toothpick is the unsung hero of the dental world, and for that, we should all give a rousing round of applause. Follow for a new episode every week.
You know by now, got stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. From the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. It's the Binge Podcast. everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. Tune in right now, got stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat, it's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast.